Lenore, we're not a gaming podcast, but have you been reading the gaming news
Which gaming news? There are lots
about
of games, Jacob.
about EA, Electronic Arts, our favorite company?
Oh, didn't Saudi Arabia buy them?
They're it's funnier than that. So they're about to go private, being bought by two firms. It's Saudi Arabia is part of it, and Jared Kushner's firm is the other side of it.
No.
Electronic Arts is about to be owned in the biggest, I believe it's the biggest like public to private switch of all time. It's over $50 billion
Wow.
by Jared Kushner in Saudi Arabia.
What the fuck is Jared Kushner going to do with video games?
I don't know. Probably, I hate to say it, but do we think MBS and Jared Kushner can probably cook something better than EA's been up to? Because I think they probably can.
MBS, I mean, he is a gamer. He loves Call of Duty,
Wait, does he actually?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if it was a bit or not.
No, yeah, no, 100%. Like presumably he knows what goes into, a fun shooter.
Mm. That could take a dark turn really fast.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Like God, do we want to losing to Yemen simulator? That's getting my country's ass kicked by the Houthis. Game.
I was thinking more like sawing a journalist in half simulator, but
Here's the thing. A Saudi Arabian Call of Duty you're like, okay, we have overwhelming force. Let's go. We got the backing of the United States. We got the UAE. Let's go. We're going to fight the poorest country in the Middle East and then just get the shit kicked out of you.
A game based on like, a Metal Gear Solid like stealth type game based on the takeover of Mecca back in the 70s.
Yes.
That would be interesting.
It would be interesting. And it's going to a propaganda game where you have to convince your citizens that you totally aren't friends with Israel. You totally aren't collaborating with Israel, and no one believes you. And every single time, and then you're just like, okay, I guess we're gonna have to rule by an iron fist.
It's a simulation. You turn the citizen oil stipend dial up, and you look back for approval.
Good God, it's so dark. And then Jared Kushner, what's his addition?
Well, it's funny that you mention media made by right-wing weirdos today. But like I don't know. Jared Kushner did so many things like in service of like, Saudi Arabia and like whatnot. Like and just I don't know, like broker a fake ceasefire.
Yeah, no, Jared Kushner, your job is to create a deal. Make a big deal out of a treaty that has been basically a real treaty for like 30 years informally. You formalize it. And then everybody gets to call you a foreign policy genius, and then your father-in-law gets insecure and fires you anyway. So you have to go work for Electronic Arts. It's very meta. Folks, this is kind of a bonus episode, even though like technically we're talking about a book. So stay tuned right after the music.
Listening to Socialist Shelf Radio.
Welcome to the Socialist Shelf. We're back with a semi-bonus episode, sort of. It's definitely not going to come out on the day of a normal episode, so I guess we're going to call it a bonus episode, even though it's going to follow more or less the typical structure. Wouldn't you say, Lenore? This is a normal book for normal people.
There is certainly, typical structure, yes, and there is certainly precedent for this one. Of course, time is a flat circle. It is fall again. And once again, we are talking about a book written by an FBI director. Can't believe we're doing this again.
Yeah, stay tuned for next year's FBI director, Barron Trump.
God,
Barron Trump, I'm fully convinced Barron Trump is going to become Antifa at NYU. It's I believe it. I believe that the right they them can win him over.
I
One of our listeners, if there's one of our listeners is at NYU and is attractive, listen, you flirt to convert is a thing I do believe in.
I would never ask one of my fellow queers to take one for the team for that thing. But
maybe we don't know what Barron Trump's politics are. Maybe he's based. We couldn't know. Maybe he's getting based on those Discord servers.
I think there's enough people out there who are willing to join our cause without flirting to convert this particular guy.
Oh, I'm just thinking about like the inside info he can get us. That kind of thing. I'm thinking stealth mode. I'm thinking who is the person in the conservative orbit who looks like somebody we can win over.
Yeah, like I mean, Barack Obama had his long-legged socialist in his
That's what I'm saying.
That's
what I'm saying. If we can win over Barron Trump, then he can, presumably he doesn't talk to his dad anyway. He just kind of stands in the background. You think about how much information we can get. It's just a thought.
Yeah.
And then once he becomes FBI director, it's all over. We start arresting everyone without a red card.
This is a long game, Jacob.
A long game like Barron. He's very long.
Yes. And when he becomes FBI director and he writes his own book, we can do an episode on that.
That's right. His book about Barron and how, because of the flirt to convert process started by the Socialist Shelf, I arrested everyone who wasn't a communist. 250 million people arrested, 280 million, however many people aren't communists, but more than that probably. We arrested all of them. Most of the United States was a prison.
I mean, one man with a gun controls 100 without, right? Surely we can figure out that ratio.
Mm-hmm. I'm not kidding. I read it was like a really edgy Maoist journal online that was like, how should we handle the petite bourgeois? They weren't talking like real people. And they were like,
right.
They suggested we should turn the entire northeastern United States into a containment zone for liberals. And that sounds like a bit we would do. And they were being fucking serious.
Oh my God.
They were being dead serious. And I was like, this can't be real. And they were like, the entire northeastern United States has no productive capacity. I'm like, fuck?
It's that George Carlin bit of turning Wyoming into a giant Hunger Games style prison, except they're advancing it as a serious political program.
They threw out in there, they would likely accomplish nothing except banning stand-up comedy. And I'm like, is this cancel culture Maoism? What are we doing here? Sorry to all our Maoist listeners. Hopefully you don't believe in the Northeastern Containment Zone. And if you do, please don't put us in it. I don't want to be there. Let's talk about Kash Patel.
Yeah. We're not talking about the James Comey sequel, of course. That'll come later.
No, it won't. More like James Comey. James Comey is going to be writing from prison pretty soon.
We'll put a pin in that, Jacob. Yeah, we'll get into that, won't we? Yeah. No, we're talking about Kash Patel.
He's the one in a pen pretty soon.
Yeah.
That's my famous wordplay. I didn't sleep last night, folks. Sorry.
Neither did I. I went and saw one battle after another and had vivid nightmares about being arrested. So yes, Kash Patel. He is an author of children's books, as it happens. Jacob, you turned me on to this days ago, and yes, I was like, we have to talk about this.
It's so good. I mean, it's this might be our best book. I mean, as much as I respect Octavia Butler, Kash Patel, rising star.
Yeah, no, he really knows how to tell a story, as we'll see. And we'll get into the story. What? True. And we'll get into the craft of the book, of course, but it's the first book with art that looks like AI, but it's a real person.
It's so sick.
It
turns out AI art can replace some people. Who'd have thunk? Every now and then I saw a thing from Malcolm Gladwell talking about AI writing or whatever, and I was like, oh, the one guy that AI probably could replace his books.
Oh yeah. All you have to do is just yap about how trans women shouldn't play sports, and you're off to the races.
Yeah, well, ChatGPT knows how to do that.
Chat girls play. I don't know what starts with T. That's not sports.
I was gonna say tennis, but that's a sport.
You're right.
Girls play terribly. Ooh,
there we go.
It's sexist. We've got sexism in the chat. Malcolm Gladwell, you've been called out, not called in.
Yeah, come on the pod. We'll roast you. So yes,
Kash, come on the pod.
I mean, he's been doing the podcast circuit for a hot minute. Like, he's
probably
certainly got
listening right now.
Yeah, he's got radio discipline and everything. He'd be a great guest.
I
We'll bring him
think
on.
he's probably like listening in on us at the moment with his FBI capacity. He's so podcast brained that he uses the FBI's capacity to listen to podcasts before they drop.
Well, Kash, if you're listening, listen to the James Comey episode and maybe reconsider what you think about us. So, Kash Patel. He's a young guy. He's born February 25th, 1980 in Garden City on Long Island. That's important. He likes to say he's from Queens like Trump, but he's not. He's one of 9 kids. His dad was CFO of an aircraft parts distributor. So from the beginning, he's killing it. During
9 kids. Is he? Where's he placed in those 9 kids? Do you know?
Oh, I didn't bother to look it up.
Fair enough.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was one of the younger ones, but
he's giving younger, but not youngest. But that's a guess completely.
Yeah. We'll get into that, of course. Put a pin in that. So during high school, he worked as a caddy for the Garden City Country Club. I can only imagine the hideous racism that he faced.
Yes.
He hauled golf bags for defense lawyers, and that's what inspires his career path, right? He's very social justice minded, it seems, from an early age. This I found interesting. His senior quote from high school was, "Racism is man's gravest threat, the maximum of hatred for a minimum of reason." This from Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel. He marched with King. He was a civil rights leader.
Yeah.
His heart seems to be in the right place.
Promising start for a promising young man.
Oh yeah. He goes.
I'm sure he'll be really cool and normal later on.
Well, he starts that way. But he goes to Richmond for criminal justice and history. He goes on to Pace Law School. He wants to be a defense lawyer at a really prestigious firm. He doesn't get hired by any. So he starts as a public defender in Miami-Dade County. Subsequently,
don't go to Miami, Kash. Don't do it.
Going to Florida has ruined better people than you, Kash.
I spent less than a week in Florida earlier this summer, and I became a worse person for it. I can only imagine what it does to the mind of a young, impressionable lawyer.
You'll see. It perhaps amplifies some tendencies that are already there.
Talk about a place that needs to be a containment zone.
We'll work on that's the thing. The Maoists are saying the wrong containment zone should be the Northeast. It should be Florida.
The people in Florida
again, those specific Maoists are listeners.
Yes. No, God. Well, me and Mao Zedong hang out all the time. Yeah, he's always talking about the 2-line struggle, which is
Mao asked me to write a musical about him, actually.
Yeah. Listen to what episode was that we riffed on that about? 7. We talked about that a bunch a year ago or 2 years ago. That's an early bit.
It was pre-transition, yeah.
Okay. All your cringe has left your body now.
That's true.
Estrogen drove all the cringe. Fun fact: Lenore has not said anything cringe in a year and a half or whatever, how long it's been.
Estrogen suppresses all that.
The people in Miami are always talking about we should invade Cuba. So here's my plan: we gate off Miami and tell them, okay, y'all go do it, and just the resources that y'all have, y'all can fight a war against Cuba.
Bay of Pigs 2.0.
They're gonna roll up in fucking speedboats and face the Cuba's Liberation Army and see how that goes.
Just get evaporated. Venezuela will probably do it first.
I talked to a guy recently who was who went to Cuba, and he said he had coffee there, and he was like, "Yeah, I see how they did it. Cuban coffee really hit." So send the Miamiers in. But I'm sorry, Lenore, I am derailing the fuck out of you right now. I mean, this book doesn't have a lot of content, so we have time to riff, I think.
No, yeah, we will read the whole thing. It's
on air, to be clear.
Yes. So yeah,
this is a socialist shelf second because it did happen with Kim.
So yeah, Florida makes him a worse person. Reportedly, he's a charismatic presence in the courtroom, but his colleagues describe him as somebody who, and this is a quote, he's not interested in all this reading and writing and arguing about the intricacies of the law. Okay,
so what is he interested in?
Well, he starts developing a real hate on for the state, which again, something I can sympathize with.
You're running me over to this guy.
Yeah, from the New York Times. Mr. Patel developed a deep animosity toward the Justice Department prosecutors he found himself up against. The department, he wrote in his book, was a hotbed of endemic corruption and prosecutors who lie, leak, cover up, or twist the truth to accomplish their mission. He added, "This is exactly how I saw the deep state operate in its attempt to take down President Trump."
Interesting.
So,
Lying and leaking and twisting had something to do with why I didn't get any sleep.
who hasn't leaked and twisted of an evening?
You gotta lie down to do it.
True.
So wait, so this is when he became a conservative? I'm confused.
No, he becomes a conservative a little bit later on. It's a series of events, basically, that I think it's an animosity that develops through like his personal like weirdness, like chafing with the system, and also just his upbringing. Of course, his family was lifelong Republicans. So he
Yeah,
had that
actually,
sort
that
of,
was something I was going to ask. So he was raised Republican despite these early social justice leanings?
yeah. Oh, 100%.
If
Yeah.
I'm editorializing, this guy's raised Republican, raised wealthy, but he has the personal experience of racism, most likely working at this country club, because holy
Yes.
shit, I imagine. And I imagine once he's developed a career for himself and is seen as a position of some authority, he's able to sort of rise above at least the type of probably base racism he experienced as a caddy.
Right.
And so he's probably returning to his roots. I guess I don't know that for sure, but that seems to be the arc this guy's following.
Well, yes, yes. Combined with, like, again, somebody from a very affluent background who hasn't the skill or the discipline or the connections of some of those around him, perhaps. He resents the elites because he's less successful than others in his class, and he really wants to coast to being one of them on clout increasingly as he goes on. But, so ever the opportunist, he hates the Justice Department, but in 2012, he lands a job as a junior Justice Department staffer. His job is routing arrest warrants for approval by higher-ups. The following year, he's assigned to the National Security Division as a terrorism prosecutor. He's flipped now. And he says, okay, I want to save lives through my prosecutions, make a name for myself. Like, again, a guy who joins, I think, because he genuinely wants to catch bad guys. By the way, he's claimed at this time to have been lead prosecutor on the case of the 2012 attack on the U.S. compound in Benghazi. This is a lie. He was not involved in the prosecution. And
also,
this is
did we catch anybody from that?
There was one later, a second guy, yeah. Like,
I'm informed by Facebook memes that Benghazi ain't going away. That's what I've heard. Benghazi ain't going away.
He's a real shifty individual, that Benghazi.
I would love for most of the people to yell about Benghazi to tell me where Benghazi is located. I know for a fact they don't know.
I'll give it to him. Libya. Just tell me which side of the country it's on.
What I also find amusing, they made that movie with Office Jim and being one of the Benghazi guys.
Was he in 13 Hours?
Yeah, he's one of the dudes in it, and it's like a movie that's basically about like how they got fucked over, which is interesting. You never like to interrogate why people would attack an embassy.
The embassy and a CIA outpost. So
they were there on a peaceful humanitarian mission, which is why Libya was and is doing great.
Came, saw, all that sort of thing. Came, saw Clinton. We'll get into Clinton.
Last episode.
So in 2016, he worked on the prosecution of a Palestinian refugee who pleaded guilty to material support for ISIS, which, if I know anything about how our country operates, this was likely coerced or trumped up.
What was the deal with this guy?
I didn't look too terribly deep into it. There's
the way that like guilty pleas work in this country. I mean, and it's not impossible that somebody donated to ISIS or whatever. Like that, we got a lot of real freaks in this country too. Not to like, there was a guy who did a terror attack earlier this year that like had an ISIS flag that he seemed to have made himself in his car. Like, don't get me wrong, he was also a U.S. military guy. They conveniently dropped that. But also, we know how like terrorism guilty pleas work. Like, if you like look into the inner workings of somewhere like Guantanamo, and I'm sure one of the other million black sites they have, like it's just that's something that's always hard for me not to take with a grain of salt when I hear.
Right,
like,
and guilty pleas of any kind. I mean, go back to our propaganda episode and read the book. By the way, it's fantastic.
There's 1994.
There's so many guilty pleas that are taken as a result of like you can take this, or we'll lard you up with even more charges.
Or like, let's be honest, people who are facing terrorism charges, the type of like stuff that gets waived, the amount of like torture that is allowed when you say terrorist, it's wild. And I mean,
Oh
like, yeah,
yeah.
like I said, 1984 episode, they make a point in there, like, when you are in physical pain, you will say things to make the physical pain stop. There are very few people. Again, I don't know the specific guy. Maybe this dude was an ISIS supporter, and like in that case, like obviously I don't have respect for that. But like, yeah, I'm sorry. That was a minor point, but like the whole guilty plea thing always like puts a thing in my stomach, you know?
Right, exactly. And it should. The part of it that relates to Patel specifically, there's a routine conference scheduled in Houston just basically to update the court on the ongoing facts of the case. Patel at this time is on an assignment in Tajikistan, other side of the fucking world. He flies back just to show up. He claims he was ordered. His fellow lawyers say that's nonsense. The judge has no idea why he's there, and ultimately he's thrown out for dressing unprofessionally. Now, of course, this judge himself has a history of racist incidents and outbursts in court. That probably plays a role. But this incident and the Justice Department refusing to comment on it when it makes the news unquestionably feeds into Patel's persecution complex, right? You know, he's like, okay, these people, you know, hung me out to dry, didn't go to bat for me when I made this, you know, maybe it was a gesture that was like warranted, maybe it wasn't, but like the point is he develops, you know, even more enmity toward, you know, this system and the people working in it. Now, the following year, he leaves the Justice Department and he becomes the House Intelligence Committee's lead investigator in the Republican response to the Mueller investigation. This is where
Sick.
he really
Mueller
starts.
Mueller ain't going away. That's the
Mm-hmm.
liberal equivalent of Benghazi ain't going away.
Mueller's old as shit too. How old is he these days? He's
and still looking good.
Yeah, you know, for an 81-year-old, yeah, he doesn't look a day over 60.
Well,
He's also really tall.
I've got something that I gotta tell you, Lenore.
What's that?
While
Did you
many
fix him?
tonight will be yelling "Go Patriots" or "Go Rams," I'm yelling "Go Robert Mueller and the rule of law."
Robert Ruler.
That's one of my favorites. I've quoted that on the show before. That's a Brian Krasenstein tweet from 2019.
Oh, got you.
During the Super Bowl. While some will be reading "Go Patriots," I will be saying "Go Robert Mueller and the rule of law."
I can't believe Mueller, She Wrote is still one of the biggest accounts on fucking Blue Sky. I thought she was left in the dust.
I can't believe that this guy tweeted that in 2019. It was pretty over by then.
Yeah, long. You know, the article that you know, say what you will about Jacobin, but like Branko Marcetic, you know, put out a really good article about the national hysteria that was Russiagate.
Mm-hmm.
But it is this national hysteria that brings Kash Patel to wider attention. He's on this case. He tries to track down Christopher Steele in London. He fails. He goes home empty-handed. Staffers call that whole boondoggle London calling. He was the primary author of the Nunes memo. Devin Nunes, of course, the top Republican on the House Intelligence Committee at this time. This is a document that asserts that the FBI is acting improperly for partisan reasons. And this is what caught Trump's attention, right? Now, he accused the FBI of improperly obtaining warrants, which, to be clear, they did, but like mostly not for the reasons that Patel alleges. Now, of course, Trump has his people give Patel a job in 2019, allegedly on a recommendation by Sean Hannity. One of John Bolton's deputies is in charge of hiring him. He says he is, and this is a quote, untrustworthy, cancerous with staff, and had his own agenda. So Patel gets stuck in this low-level position in the National Security Council where, okay, maybe he won't do too much damage, right? Right?
Yeah, no, he'll be fine. It's for the whole cancerous bit.
It has a way of metastasizing, yes. In mid
God, I hate
2019,
cancer does that.
Yeah, it's the worst. The emperor
Why
of all
doesn't it
maladies.
just stay still?
Mm-hmm. If we could just get it to chill, right? In mid 2019, somebody reaches out to Fiona Hill, the senior director for Europe and Russia on the council, asking for your Ukraine director. They're looking for Patel.
Oh, God damn it!
Yeah, somehow the White House has become convinced that Patel is Trump's main man on Ukraine. He denies having briefed Trump on Ukraine. Of course, he's lying through his teeth. Incidentally, when this story breaks, he sues the New York Times for $44 million for defamation. That gets dismissed. That's a recurring theme, as we'll see. He's highly litigious. He's sued the War Department over a review of his memoir.
So I'm confused. Was he involved in Ukraine? Or was he bullshitting?
He was briefing Trump on Ukraine somehow. I don't know the specifics of it, but
why was he briefing Trump on Ukraine?
Literally just clout. Literally clout.
Okay, sick. If Trump likes you, I mean, you can kind of
Well,
you can
Trump
kind of
likes
coast.
him. Trump likes him so much that he makes him principal deputy director of national intelligence. Basically under the position that Tulsi Gabbard did now,
Mm,
because he's willing to purge disloyal officials, which he does in the latter days of the administration. And in his lame duck period after he loses the 2020 election, Trump makes Patel chief of staff to acting defense secretary Christopher Miller. So this guy is
hmm
just failing upward. Um, Mark Milley is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs by this time. Patel is the one who delivers him a document in which Trump orders the full withdrawal from Afghanistan by January 15th. This is the first Milley or anybody with the decision-making power hears about that.
Rare
Um,
Trump W.
yeah, rare Trump dub. But he's found a guy who he can go through effectively, right? Also, like by multiple insider accounts, Patel's involved in a hostage operation in Nigeria in 2020. He reports to the higher
He
ups that
was hostage.
God, can you imagine?
The whole country's on pins and needles, and we're like, please, we'll give you $1 million. Don't return him.
It's not nearly as funny, unfortunately. He reports to his
Oh,
higher ups
shit.
that Navy SEALs have clearance to land in Nigerian airspace to execute the rescue. This is not the case. He almost gets them and the hostage killed. When he's
Jesus.
confronted about it after, he reportedly responds, "If nobody got hurt, who the fuck cares?"
I, I think that that no one got hurt, but that was not because of you. You were the reason people almost got hurt.
Yeah,
Seems
no,
to be the
exactly.
case to
Like
me.
you don't get credit for it going well despite everything. I'm leaning a lot on. There's a lot of coverage of him from recent year, going back to 2018, from the Atlantic and New York Times. Obviously, bourgeois outlets take what they say with a grain of salt, but there's a lot of smoke pointing in the same direction as some fire here. So Trump considers making him deputy FBI director in his final days. Also deputy CIA director. Attorney General Bill Barr and CIA head torture queen Gina Haspel both threatened to resign over this shit. Again, these people are not heroes. They just know when somebody's like incompetent. Nevertheless, in Patel's 3 months at the Pentagon, he claims to have led the biggest transition of the War Department in U.S. history. So, Patel force-fed an entire department. Give him credit for that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Snaps.
yeah, yeah. No, he's found his niche ultimately. He's a hatchet man for Trump. He delivers orders out of nowhere and expects them to be followed. Post 2020, he starts up the Kash Foundation. And it deals in a lot of cash. It's a nonprofit that helps January 6th rioters defray legal expenses, raises money by selling merch branded $H. I've showed you a little bit of this, Jacob.
So sick.
For $350.
We're both. I know this is not a visual medium, but we're actually both wearing those shirts right now.
Yeah, one of those shirts that says "Don't tread on me," branded $H.
Yeah, it's super cool. I'm getting the tattoo soon.
For $350, you can buy a dozen bottles of Wanted for President Cabernet Sauvignon with Trump's mugshot on the label.
And honestly, what a steal!
all of the clothing goes through a distributor that Patel helped found called Based Apparel. It's
Based apparel.
it's slop. It's slop.
No, Lenore, it's good actually, and I support it. And
Well,
it's
you heard it here first, folks. Don We Now are Based Apparel.
Don, as in Donald Trump. Is that anything?
There is some Orange Man bad stuff. Unfortunately, the crank right has adopted Orange Man bad as a slogan.
I mean, like, it's a bad enough slogan that it's easy to make the other side look stupid by saying it.
Unfortunately, it is. Yeah. It's at this time that he also writes 3 children's books, the first of which we're exploring today. He's called them the perfect gag gift for a liberal friend or family member, so, he knows his game. He's in it for the novelty. He's also got a memoir that I mentioned earlier. It's called Government Gangsters, The Deep State, The Truth, and the Battle for Our Democracy. And the picture is a glam shot of him walking away from a helicopter. It's super cool.
That's the book that radicalized me, actually. That book was really meaningful to my life.
We want to build a movement against all these government gangsters.
God, I'm always saying that. I'm sure when he says government gangsters, he's referring to like the gangsterismo of like the like mafias that like the CIA and like Contras have like set up all around the world, the cartels that are backed by American guns, money, and dollars. I'm sure he's not talking about like someone who puts pronouns on their like email signature.
For somebody who comes out swinging against like government corruption and all that shit, like you would think he would be the one to write the Fort Bragg cartel, but of course he was not. He wants a piece of it.
God, I want to get the Fort Bragg cartel guy on our pod.
We should read it. Appendix B of his book, incidentally, not the Fort Bragg guy, but Patel's book, has 60 names in an enemy list entitled Members of the Executive Branch Deep State, and put a pin in that because we're about to mention that shit. He also has a consulting company that's made around $500,000 from Truth Social and from the Save America PAC. Also $145K from Friends of Matt Gaetz.
Friends of Matt Gaetz.
Yeah.
Is that like his, like people would say friends of Dorothy to mean gay? Is that like if you're accused of let's say cavorting with people of an inappropriate age, you call yourself, I'm a friend of Matt Gaetz. Allegedly.
Maybe Kash should make a challenge coin with Friends of Matt Gaetz on it. He's known for giving out challenge coins with like his accomplishments inscribed on them that he wasn't actually part of.
This guy is like a video game character.
He's everywhere. He's a grifter par excellence. He has sold pills that he claims reverse the effects of COVID vaccines, Jacob.
It is so sick. Like, I love that we have patches from like Dark Souls in fucking government. That's so sick.
Just don't be on the same like ledge as Kash Patel. He will kick you off of it.
There's treasure down there. He says all my like golden Trump insignias, all my wine bottles are down there. Will you fetch them for me?
Of course, he's done the podcast circuit, as I mentioned. He throughout Biden's time in office.
He's been on our show multiple times.
That's true. Go back and listen to our President is Missing episode. He does I just picked a random one.
Yeah, Kash is missing as well.
What are you talking about? He's only ever hit. He does the podcast circuit, of course. He appears on Sean Ryan, Steve Bannon, Benny Johnson, all the cranks. He builds his profile for Trump's possible, as it happens, eventual return to office, pledging to go after people who helped Joe Biden supposedly rig the 2020 election. He hosted Cash's Corner on Epic TV, of course, owned by the Epic Times. You know, his fingers are in all the fucking, like, crank pies, right? He's major... Surprising no one, he's a major conspiracy theorist. Of course, he thinks 2020 was rigged. He's a big QAnon dude. My favorite thing I learned about him, he believes in Italygate. Are you familiar with Italygate, Jacob?
What the fuck is Italygate?
It's a QAnon thing that alleges that an Italian defense contractor worked with the CIA to use satellites to like beam like shit into voting machines and like change people's votes to Biden and to rig 2020 that way.
I'm adopting that into my worldview.
It gets better. There was a blackout in the Vatican in January of 2021. If you're a QAnon believer who's into this shit, what you believe is that the blackout in the Vatican was a cover-up for the Italian government to arrest Pope Francis for his role in rigging the 2020 election.
So why does Pope Francis not get arrested? Or did they like replace him with like a clone or something? Is it one of those?
It's one of those things. Okay. There's face masks involved. There was briefly like a trending like hashtag Italy did it, which I find pretty funny.
Well, you'd be right about a lot of things.
Italy did do a lot of things, yes.
Not this, though.
Not this.
I mean, unless you want to believe it. Like, at this point, fuck it. Like, yeah, sure, 2020 was stolen. Let's like, who gives a fuck? Sure, it was. They should have stolen 2024 too if they really wanted it.
Pin it on the most random country, like Cameroon changed all of our votes. Or something, I don't know.
I fucking hate it when Zambia influences our elections. Just like pick a country, like whatever. Costa Rica, we got to keep an eye on them.
Just send a dude to fucking Ouagadougou on a fact finding mission about the next election. I don't know. So yeah, real stand up guy Patel and Trump. Here's where Trump agrees with us, Jacob. A rare point of agreement between us and Trump. A lot of people say he's crazy. I think he's kind of crazy. But then he goes on to say, sometimes you need a little crazy.
I agree.
And indeed.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Indeed, once Trump gets elected, February 20th of this year, the Senate confirms Patel 51-49 as FBI director, over
That's
the
awesome. Rubio got 100 votes, and then 49 people were like, "I can vote for Marco Rubio," but holy shit!
Oh yeah, this is over. There's a letter to the Senate by 23 career Republicans who are urging senators not to do it. Again, ghouls all, but they know when somebody is like a real crank. 4 days later, Patel is also named acting director of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. But he's replaced within a couple of months because apart from a photo op at the beginning, he just never shows up to work.
Yes. Well, we shouldn't regulate those things. He thought that his job there wasn't going to be regulating those things. He thought he was going to be like doing a lot of like out smoking a lot, drinking a lot of alcohol, setting off a lot of explosives and firearms. When he realized the job was regulation, he was like, "This shit sucks. Give it to like Dan Bongino or somebody."
Well, as it happens, Dan Bongino has other obligations, as we'll see. As
Don
does Cash.
Bongo from Yoshi's World.
Bongo Bongo from Majora's Mask.
Yes.
As does Kash Patel, of course. He's overseen huge cuts at the FBI, particularly to corruption and compliance offices. He names conservative radio host Dan Bongino as his deputy director.
Do you know that Dan? Do you know the Dan Bongino song?
He has a song. Everybody has a fucking song these days.
No. This guy made a really awesome song about him that was like what is it? My grandmother doesn't want me to go under the stairs. There's a man that looks like Dan Bongino. She says, "Don't you go down there." But I know I'm safe with Dan Bongino. You look it up. It's great.
Yeah, Bongino, of course, has since been demoted. There's like a co-deputy director from Missouri now. Like he's probably on his way out. Most recently, of course, Patel has completely bungled the Charlie Kirk assassination investigation. He's fired FBI agents who knelt at the George Floyd protests in 2020. He's using the FBI right now to go after people on the enemies list that I mentioned, including former CIA Director John Brennan, friend of the show James Comey, John Bolton, whose house the FBI raided the other day. Really, really funny
He should
stuff.
have John bolted the door, but he didn't. He failed to.
Too true. One with, national security advisor, one would think he'd, the great irony is that he didn't take care of his personal security.
Well, it's crazy that John Bolton, he got away. He did a lot of bad stuff to Theon Greyjoy, so he shouldn't have. He should get arrested just for that.
The FBI actually raided him because there were they got a tip that there were a bunch of people he'd flayed in his basement.
Honestly, John Bolton, not alleging anything, but could be.
Yeah, that's Kash Patel. That's Kash Patel. He is a perhaps, I say that like Trump is like the logical conclusion of the sort of shit that America gets up to with its heads of state, like the audacity of empire, like personified in one man. But maybe Kash Patel is like the next step beyond that, who is not even attempting to hide the fact that he's an open grifter, and a clout chaser par excellence. Real fascinating stuff that we now live in a world where somebody like him can run the FBI, and in many ways that's dangerous, but in many ways it's also incredibly funny because he is, of course, kneecapping their capacity.
I do agree. I was just looking. He's got some quotes. He claimed less than a year before he became FBI director, "If I become FBI director, I'd shut down the Hoover building day one and reopen it the next day as a museum of the deep state." That one didn't happen.
Didn't he move the FBI headquarters to somewhere else?
Or maybe that's what he means then. I'm seeing a quote when he went on the Ryan Show podcast where he's just like coming up with numbers of illegal immigrants that voted in elections. He was like, there were 10 million. Possibly 15 million. 15 million, right? It's like, come on. You can't just say that.
God, I love throwing out numbers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how many people listen to our show. 15 million.
That's true. That's true. The silent majority, as it were.
Kash Patel said in 2022 that like whoever is running the QAnon account should get credit for all the great things he's accomplished in crushing the cabal of child predators. Just a lot of really interesting stuff.
Yeah, and he's mastered the grift circuit, unquestionably. But like, I do think that he's also a true believer. He's a weird cocktail thereof.
I like that Bill Barr said Patel would become FBI director over my dead body.
Yep.
But So R.I.P. Bill Barr, I guess. I haven't checked the news, but
So yeah, we might as well get into the book now. Again, one of Kash Patel's grift enterprises is he's written 3 children's books, as I said, and they're each about one of the elections. Of course, the first one is 2016. The second one, 2000 Mules, is about 2020. It's literally just based on the Dinesh D'Souza, like 2000 Mules, like election rigging conspiracy theory. Dinesh is actually a character in the book, of course.
sick.
And then the third one, Plot Against the King. The third one is called The Plot Against the King, The Return of the King.
Fuck yeah. He's back.
Yeah.
Everything's good now.
I bet Kash Patel read Lord of the Rings when he was a kid.
Seems like it.
So yeah.
Well, the cover art's really good.
It's a shame that that this rip of the book has like a Kohl's receipt stuck to it.
Yeah, I've seen the cover though. I mean, it's like Trump is a king. There's like an evil scheming Nancy Pelosi. We got a wizard.
It
we got a
looks
knight.
like Nancy Pelosi. It's actually supposed to be Clinton.
That's Clinton?
Mm-hmm.
That is not. That is Nancy. Okay. Well, why do you know?
Yeah.
The more you know.
Yeah,
there's all kinds of guys around.
There's a real rogues gallery here, as we'll see. Kash Patel, of course, is a wizard with a wizard staff.
Gotta put yourself in as a wizard. If that's self-care right there.
It's
and who we got doing art? We got like Laura Vincent, right?
I tried to look her up. I wasn't able to find that specific person. There's a few Laura Vincents who look like more legit artists than this.
Well, credit to Laura Vincent for just really phoning it in, because this shit sucks. I mean, you just look up the cover, y'all.
It looks like if South Park did a fucking like fantasy story like sequence, right? It's South Park, but like more realistic slightly.
Which makes it worse.
Yeah, it's very. I mean, it's very like fantasy, like felt. Everybody in this kingdom is white, by the way, which is odd to me.
Except Kash Patel.
Except Kash Patel, yeah. So
just
we
like
move
his
on.
social circles, presumably.
True. We move on, of course. There's that King's Scepter and the staff and the wizard staff crossed. His loyalties are immediately clear. Copyright 2022 by Beacon of Freedom Publishing House. That's pretty funny.
Feeling freer already.
So, we begin. Once upon a time, in the land of the free, there lived a wizard called Kash the Distinguished Discoverer. Kash was known far and wide as the one person who could discover anything about anything.
Come on.
He found the holy grape deep in the enchanted forest, and he discovered who had stolen the sleeping princess.
And yeah, so, you got Kash as a wizard there. He's got some golden grapes. He's looking real good, real hot.
There's all kinds of parallels, thinly veiled to like real world politics and stuff. I have no idea what the fuck he's on about with the grapes and the princess.
Oh, he just actually did that. That happened in Miami.
Oh yeah. There was like a dragon there that he had to, sternly glare at. He carries around a magnifying glass as well.
You can find out anything.
I don't know if that's magic. The heralds who spread important news across the land with their herald trumpets had sung of Kash's fame ever since he figured out that the Rusionians were cheating at the jousting tournaments.
Those dang Rusionians.
Yeah,
you got the hammer and sickle shield.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
Yeah, I don't recall Kash Patel like being involved in like Russian doping accusations or whatever, but like it's that thing again of where you conflate the existing Russian Federation with the old USSR, with trying to transfer the Cold War antipathy to that new geopolitical enemy. It's same old shit.
It also seems to be like a classic Kash tactic of like just saying he was involved in something he had no relationship to. That seems to be a thing he likes to do.
Yeah, and maybe I missed. There was a whole like involvement. I don't know. I don't care. So yeah, there's that. But all these quests have been easy for Kash, and as the sun rose and set over the land of the free, Kash found himself in grave danger. Not of trolls or ogres, but of getting bored. That is, until the choosing day.
The choosing day.
I just want to point out that like the Rusionian dude is jousting against a guy with, it's a hammer and sickle on the one side. There's like a gold laurel on a red field. It's very like Roman iconography. I don't get these people's obsession with Rome.
It's their Roman Empire.
Too true.
All right, I got this one.
Yeah.
On choosing day, the whole land gathered at the castle to choose the next ruler of the kingdom. The heralds had been announcing that Hilary Queenton would be queen. She says queenly things like thee and thou and forsooth, and her last name is Queenton, after all. But
Forsooth,
when the
why can't we get everyone to Pokemon Go to the polls?
forsooth. But when the royal counter-uppers counted up the final votes, they realized the people had dared to choose the merchant Donald. The heralds and Hilary were horrified. Donald didn't care what the heralds said about him, and he was determined to make the kingdom great again. Thus, King Donald moved into the castle, and everyone turned to head home. And Donald is looking real fresh here.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's like bunting and like his crown that says MKGA. There's banners that say like NYT, The Post, CNN. Like he's not even hiding it. Hillary Clinton over here in her blue
Hillary
dress.
Queenton.
Oh, Queenton. I'm
That's
sorry.
Queenton to you.
Yes, that is Queenton, and she's
Queenton Tarantino.
that fur trim on her blue dress.
Looking low key fresh. Not gonna lie. If Hillary had worn that, then she might have won.
I would wear that. You fucking kidding me? Yeah.
But before the people could leave, a herald jumped onto his stand to make a proclamation. Wait! He proclaimed through his herald trumpet. Listen to what this noble knight has to say. Then a shifty-looking knight jumped onto the stand. Donald isn't the rightful king. Inside this steel box, I have found a paper that says Donald cheated his way to the throne. All of the people gasped. We're shocked. How could he do such a thing?
A shifty knight with a steel box, you say?
Apparently, said the shifty knight, Donald made friends with the Rossonians while drinking cherry ginger ale in the Swirly Tower Tavern in Rossonia, and they helped him cheat. All the people nodded. The heralds must be right. After all, they have loud trumpets and important pieces of paper. King Donald must be a cheater. And so, even though they hadn't looked at all the facts, everyone agreed that King Donald was a cheater. Everyone except for Duke Devon of the King's Court. Who's Duke Devon?
Duke Devon of House Nunez.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Duke Devon had known Donald for years, and he couldn't imagine the king had cheated. The Duke was loyal to the core, which is why Kash was not at all surprised when he walked through Kash's front door. Kash, said the distressed Duke, I am distressed.
Me when I'm distressed? That's low-key me when I'm distressed.
You just walk around and say, I am distressed.
His face does look okay. We've roasted the artist, but the face of this guy does look very distressed in this image.
No, yeah. Shout out to Laura Vincent for her expression.
He's so distressed. His eyebrows are giving distress.
I will also say, like, Patel, he doesn't not have like the cadence of a children's book author, right? He is like making up words here and there, like tangleful, that do fit the situation here. Like
much like the Disney film Tangled.
Maybe he missed a calling, Kash, said the distressed Duke, I am distressed. I know these terrible, tragical, tangleful rumors cannot be true of King Donald, but the heralds keep saying that they are true. It must be a plot against the king.
Roll credits.
That's a very serious thing to say, said Kash seriously. What does King Donald think about all this? He calls them all fake heralds, shrugged the Duke, but I must know what really happened. And Kash is he's your standard, depicted here as your standard like disheveled genius, right? He's got papers all over his desk. There's a mouse and a spider web in the corner. He's got a map of like just our globe. So this is like, a kingdom that is on our world, I guess.
Well, no, I'm gonna say it. I could fix him. He looks pretty hot here.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
He's probably got all kinds of magic.
Yeah.
We can't decide if they're right or wrong until we know all the facts, and if you're looking for facts, you came to the right place. Kash put on his wizard hat!
I like to think he does this in the FBI office.
I put on my robe and wizard hat. And then I try to pin the Charlie Kirk assassination on trans people. I am the distinguished discoverer, so I can discover anything about anything. I'll help you on one condition. I must share the truth with everyone, no matter what I find. Of course, said Duke Devon. And so they set out on the quest for the truth about the plot against the king. italicized for some reason.
All right. And we've got another thing of Kash looking hot, standing on a table, looking real good.
Like quirky investigators do.
All right, I got this. For their first stop, Kash and Devon visited the Shifty Knight and his herald friends. I'm absolutely sure that King Trump is a cheater, the Shifty Knight said. I found the paper that proves it right here in this steel box. But when Kash looked into the box, he found a long, sticky, silvery streak of slime.
Many such cases.
Mm-hmm. Who been doing what with this box?
So, of course...
What was the knight doing with the box that left the silvery streak of slime? I'm not so sure.
Well, Kash doesn't know because he never met Christopher Steele.
I see. Ah, said Devon. I've seen this before. He and Kash hurried to the slug stables in a shadowy corner of the castle.
Who up hurrying to the slug stables?
The keeper of the slugs, named Keeper Comey with a K. It's now a standard English. James Comey was in charge of delivering all the king's secret messages. But on his desk, Kash spotted a suspicious letter.
Aha.
And the letter says, Dear Comey, most sincerely I thank thee for the service of delivering thy papers with thine slugs to the steel box so sneakily. Forsooth! In all the land shall not be found a deceiver so daring or so devious. All my love, Hillary Quinton. Dun, dun, dun.
This is quite cartoonish, but also, like, as we've seen with, Eric Adams' various scandals, sometimes people really do be just, like, writing down thanks for doing corruption.
I do like, if you read, like, the Hillary emails, everyone freaked about the Hillary emails, but no one read them. Mm-hmm. She has one where she says, Al-Qaeda's on our side in Syria. It just says it, like... So, honestly, it is that level of, like, thank you for doing daring corruption.
Literally. There's also... I will note as well, like, the keeper of the slugs, like, his slug stable has... All the slugs are wearing, like, black jackets and sunglasses.
No, they're sexy. Mm-hmm. Sexy slugs. Sexy socialist shelf slugs.
Hell yeah. We're just going to keep adding S's. There's like lettuce scattered around that they're eating, I guess. Aha! Cried Kash. Now we know where the mysterious rumor came from. All we have left is to discover whether or not Hillary Quinton is lying.
She just said she was lying in the letter.
He wants to discover everything about everything, Jacob. He wants to get to the bottom of this. He's going to the primary sources. That very evening, Kash and Devon set off for the kingdom of Rusionia to seek the Swirly Tower Tavern. But when they arrived, there was no such place to be found. They searched and searched. They looked around all the corners and in all the cracks. They even asked the locals, who only huffed and grunted and couldn't help at all. No one had ever heard of such a place.
Is this supposed to be like the P-tape thing?
Yeah, like I looked a little bit for what the Swirly Tower Tavern could be, and I wasn't able to find it. Listeners, write in and figure out what the missing pieces are in Kash's like mind palace here.
I mean, like there was the like alleged tape of Trump getting pissed on that like turned out to I think be fake, or at least the very least like have nothing to do with anything. Mm-hmm. Maybe Swirly Tower is that? I mean, I'm just trying to understand the mind of Kash Patel. He's a genius. So. All right, I'll read this next part. I've discovered, said Kash, that the Swirly Tower Tavern cannot be discovered. The steel box paper is looking very suspicious. It only makes sense, said Duke Devon. Everyone knows King Donald doesn't even drink cherry ginger ale. Kash and Duke Devon hurried back to the land of the free, straight to the king's castle. They had an important meeting to call. It's a good little cat in that one.
He's looking fresh with it, yeah.
All the heralds and all the knights filed into the room. The Shifty Knight stood at the very front. Kash declared, the steel box paper is not true. We went to Rusionia and discovered there is no Swirly Tower Tavern. So now I need to know, do any of you have any other reason to believe King Donald cheated in any way? One by one, they all scratched their heads and cleared their throats and said, No, I don't know of any other reason or way. Now we got Kash looking very angry indeed, throwing up his hands as everyone looks rather miffed in this throne room of strange proportions.
The shifty knight of House Adam, of course, hands on hips.
Yes. Afterwards, Kash followed the shifty knight outside. If you didn't have a reason to believe that King Donald was a cheater, why did you say all those nasty things about him to the heralds? We tried our best to find evidence, keep our Comey, even sent his slugs into the castle to spy on the king. But I don't care that we couldn't find anything, the shifty knight said. I just really don't like Donald.
It says here, I will point out, not the shifty knight said, but the shifty knight shifted.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I just
no,
don't shift.
No, I was going to point that up anyway, because again, like, that's something charming, right? That's a character moment there. Like, the shifty knight shifted. You know, you want a specific dialogue tag for somebody, that's funny. That's a bit, right?
The shifty knight is kind of mogging Kash in this picture, though.
This is true. This is true.
Like, I've drawn you as the weak virgin Kash, and me as the strong shifty knight.
No, 100%. But again, like,
Sorry, who is the shifty knight supposed to be?
Adam Schiff.
God damn it! Of course, it's Adam Schiff. What is wrong with me? Of course.
What's wrong with Kash? But no, like, seriously,
nothing.
Like,
he's a genius.
I think he's a competent children's book writer. I think with a little more like experience under his belt, he could genuinely like write an entertaining story to an audience of kids. The problem is that, again, he intends it as a gag gift, as a novelty piece, and this sort of reason...
There were people who were buying it for their children, though.
Oh, God. Can you imagine?
I saw a lot of that online when I was looking at this book. A lot of people that Christmas got this book and put it in their kids' stockings. Or more commonly, like weird MAGA uncles and grandparents giving it to their like nephews, nieces, and grandchildren that did not want this shit.
Well, and you've hit upon the other half of this, right? That you know, yeah, it's a children's book, but this is also the level of analysis that people have when they're doing Q shit.
Yeah, because they're really smart and they know everything. That's why. Kash Patel has outsmarted us and outwitted us at every turn, Lenore.
It was all building up to this. Like, we have to give him his flowers.
Right.
Then the shifty knight ran straight to the heralds. Heralds, he said, go forth throughout the kingdom. I have a very good reason to believe that King Donald is a cheater. What is it? The heralds asked. I can't tell you. It's a secret. The shifty knight smiled. Ooh, said the heralds. They all loved secrets. We'll tell everyone right away. And so they did. All of the people nodded when they heard. They must be right. After all, they have loud trumpets and an important secret. And so everyone agreed that the shifty knight was telling the truth, even though they didn't have any reason to believe him. As he watched all of this happen, the king became sad.
You gotta do a Trump voice.
They're still spreading lies, he told Kash. How will the people ever learn the truth? Kash sighed. He knew the answer. It was up to him to present the evidence to the people. Gathering his courage and all of his evidence, Kash dashed up the stairs that wound around the gold tower, but Hillary and the shifty knight were right behind him.
We're gonna get a duel.
There's dudes that are like kitted out for bear. They got MKGA with the fucking like laurel heraldry here. When Kash reached the top, he paused to tie his wizard shoes. Unfortunately, Hillary and the shifty knight didn't see him stop, and they tumbled over him. I love how, like, he's a wizard, but he doesn't actually use magic. He just, like, goes around and mogs people.
I disagree. He, what he's doing is very similar to Gandalf's magic from Lord of the Rings, where he was like, fireballs, I do things far more subtle, changing the nature of reality. That's what Kash is up to here. They fell off the tower, by the way, folks. They don't really illustrate, or they illustrate it, but they don't really describe it. But yeah, Hillary and Adam Schiff go for a little tumble.
Yeah, they're fine though. It's a kid's book. Don't worry.
No, they fall on spikes like Saruman.
Only in the movie though.
In the extended edition, yeah, it's more brutal in the book. Kash stood up and addressed everybody. Everybody, I am Kash. That's so me when I am Kash addressing everybody. Kash stood up and addressed everybody. Everybody, I am Kash, the great wizard and distinguished discoverer. I have discovered that the king, King Donald, is innocent. He did not work with the Rossonians, and he did not cheat. You chose him, so he became king, fair and square. Hillary wrote that paper and had her sneaky slugs slide it into the steel box for the shifty knight to find. The people are listening to Kash right now.
Yep, there's Hillary and Sir Schiff.
Yeah, they're impaled on spikes.
That too.
They're covered in mud. Now that you know more of the facts, it's time for you to think carefully and decide what you think of the king. Don't you just trust the person with the loudest trumpet?
I think you should trust the person with the loudest trumpet.
The people paused and considered Kash's speech. Oh, we shouldn't have believed that the king was a cheater without any proof, they said. Now that they had all the evidence, they clapped and cheered and threw a huge party for the king. Literally everybody clapped.
Literally. Oh, God.
The shifty knight tried to say Kash was lying, but the knight of the oval table carried him, Hillary Queenton, and Keeper Comey out of the kingdom, banishing them forever.
Forever. If only Hillary Clinton had been banished forever.
I mean, I haven't seen her in a while. She used to come around all the time.
That's true. That's true. Have you ever seen her and me in the same photograph?
Yeah.
I actually ran into Bill Clinton at one point.
Bill Clinton. I think you talked about that on the
President is Missing
episode.
Yeah,
go back and listen to that, folks. It's a good one.
It's a fun one, and we'll do the sequel at some point in the near future.
No, we won't. We won't. Lenore is over-promising, and I am under-delivering.
I have the book, Jacob. I found it.
I know you do. It jump scared me because it has Clinton on the back of it, and I was just in your home, and I just saw Bill Clinton's eyes meet mine.
We're going to make good on that investment.
God. Invest in the future. Okay, yeah, you got this next part.
Yeah, we'll bring us home. Some of the heralds kept spreading the rumor, but they soon grew bored. They moved on to more exciting tales, declaring the sun was made of mustard and would soon drip down and make everything yellow and mustardy. Presumably he's talking about climate change. Kash only shrugged. As long as there were people in the land of the free, someone would be trying to spread a ridiculous story. But Kash was satisfied that he knew the truth, and after his proclamation, anyone else who wanted to know what really happened could learn it too. And so Duke Devon, King Donald, and Kash the Distinguished Discoverer went back into the castle to share a nice meal with no cherry ginger ale. With that, the kingdom was made great again, and from that day on, they lived happily ever after.
Until the sequel, presumably. The end.
Yeah, till the two sequels, of course, because there's 2,000 Mules, there's Return of the King. Who knows what he'll write for the 2028 election?
Also, just so you know, if you scroll back up, Lenore, the art is really good. It's Kash sitting next to Donald Trump, and they're eating a large ham, it seems. Hands in the air. Okay, they definitely do have cherry ale, though, in this picture.
It's red. It's also like spilling over Donald's cup, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of blending into the Make the Kingdom Great Again.
They have AI hands without this being AI, which is very impressive. It is weird to write with no cherry ale, and they are very clearly drinking at least something that looks like cherry ale. Like, that's very strange. Is that like a joke? I don't know. Is that a joke?
I think he just picked something cute because, like, there's stuff about like Donald Trump being a teetotaler and that being like exculpatory about some of the allegations.
Sure.
I think he's just picking cherry ginger ale for instead of wine, like for the kids, Like,
no, I get that. I don't understand why in that scene they're clearly drinking cherry ginger ale. So,
there's more liquids that are red, Jacob.
No, there's not. That's the only one. I'll read this end section here because it's good. The true story of Kash Patel and Russiagate. Dear citizen of the land of opportunity.
I thought it was the land of free.
No, Not anymore. After Donald Trump's election in 2016, the liberal media began buzzing about a leaked document known as the Steele dossier, written by Christopher Steele. The dossier claimed that President Trump had colluded with Russia to steal the election. The House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence was chosen to investigate the Russia collusion narrative, and Chairman Devin Nunes asked me, Kash Patel, to lead his team. We conducted our investigation in 3 steps. First, we fact-checked the dossier and found significant evidence that several incriminating details could not be accurate. Second, we followed the money back to the organization that had paid Steele for his report, the Hillary Clinton campaign and the Democratic National Committee. Third, we interrogated over 60 witnesses under oath, none of whom could affirmatively say they had proof that Trump or his administration colluded, conspired, or coordinated with Russia. While our investigative hearings were still in process, many of these witnesses claimed the exact opposite of the mainstream media. The leader, whose only false narrative to come out of Russiagate was Adam Smith. That too. Adam Schiff, who earned a reputation for promising the media that he had the scoop on how Trump had colluded with Russia, except he couldn't share because it was classified. Devin and I published our findings in the Nunes memo and declassified the Department of Justice and FBI's own documents. Immediately, Schiff responded with one meritless claim after another. The mainstream media lapped it up. His own Schiff memo was lauded by journalists who seemed to only be looking for the next flashy headline, whether or not it was true. In the years since, it's been a slow and steady fight for justice. Former FBI Director James Comey, writer of Central Park West, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, Central Park West. His deputy, Andy McCabe, and 15 others were fired or resigned for their involvement in the misleading a federal court to get surveillance warrants for Trump World, which were later vacated in a result of our investigation. And in the time since, the Inspector General of the DOJ, the Attorney General, and the FBI Director, all under oath, admitted Hillary and the DNC did pay Steele for his dossier and intentionally misled the court just to investigate a political opponent they never wanted to see in the White House.
There's also like pictures from like that time, and it looks like they've been run through a really shitty watercolor filter because I can't make
They're
out
terrible pictures
face.
too. Like these are bad examples of pictures. They're just like people's backs and stuff. This book is one way I'm doing my part to share the truth. This story cannot be forgotten. I also had the honor of contributing to a documentary, The Plot Against the President, where Devin, Donald Trump Jr., and I, along with several others, told our story in much more detail. I hope you'll do your research for yourself so that you can learn the truth about the plot against the king. Blessings, Kash Patel, at Kash on Truth Social, fightwithkash.com, and it's a picture of Kash and Donald Trump standing next to each other. Really lovely.
What a story. What a story, Jacob.
That's the crazy thing is that really happened.
Yeah, that's
exactly how it happened.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna pretend there wasn't like hysteria about Russiagate, of course. You know, like it's and worth noting, like the idea that Vladimir Putin got Trump elected so he could have a vassal in the White House has been used as a cover for like a rehabilitation of our military and the surveillance state. Like as a result of the whole Russiagate thing, like in going back to about 2018 when the Mueller report dropped, like the CIA had higher approval ratings among Democrats than Republicans for the first time since like 2002, right? And this is what Russiagate was used to do, to launder the reputation of the US state, right? Now you have this narrative that's like, okay, like any pullback of US militarism, right? Any defeat of the US intelligence community anywhere in the world plays into Russia's hands, right? And so we must support, that against like the nefarious Russians. Every manifestation of imperialism suddenly, like now it's a heroic strike against this like ancestral enemy. It's fucking stupid.
And like obviously Trump is not a puppet of Putin. As of like 2 days ago, he said that NATO should shoot down Russian drones and planes that come near their borders.
He literally did what Obama wouldn't do and armed Ukraine for the right. ongoing conflict now. Like he pulled out of a couple of nuclear treaties. Yeah.
Right. The idea that like whatever. And like, yes, Trump said some untoward shit about Putin, like, or during the first election. Like he said, oh, I would love if Putin hacked the DNC more. Like, yeah, I'm not saying that there wasn't like some weird Russia stuff going on. It's hard to know what happened or didn't happen. But the idea, I think people want to find a reason to say that America did not elect Donald Trump, and America did elect Donald Trump. Admittedly, with the Hillary Clinton election, very undemocratically, with Hillary getting more votes than Trump, but like America did under the rules of American elections elect Donald Trump. Russia is not capable of stealing our elections. If they were, with like a few hundred Facebook bots or whatever, as is alleged, then like, yeah, well, let's throw it up if that's easy, if that can happen. No, like whatever, it's all done. Russia can steal any election they want, and it's laundering the reputation of the FBI, the CIA, like organizations that have actually worked to steal elections. And not dealing with the real rot at the heart of the country and the shit like that. So, whatever. But no, like, respect to Kash Patel for him trying to turn that into like this, oh yeah, the media just hates Trump and he's actually a good king and the people of this country are stupid hogs who will believe whatever CNN says. And everybody is aligned against me. Everybody hate me. I'm done with this world. It's fucking exhausting. So yeah, could not give less of a shit about his like sob story narrative about all this. But the actual thing with Russiagate is more of like an imperialist project than it has anything to do with like, oh, Donald Trump is so oppressed because he's president of the United States twice. Like, you cannot simultaneously be the most powerful man in the world and be the most mistreated, unfairly bullied man in the world. I really appreciated the other night. I don't know how the fuck he got on the show, but Adam Friedland the other night managed to get on the Piers Morgan show with a bunch of conservatives, including Tim Pool, and he did this whole bit where he was like, "No, I feel bad for Donald Trump. He's so bullied. He's so mistreated. But, we got to do what I did when I got bullied in school, and I was bullied relentlessly. I stood up, I looked my bullies in the eye, and I said, that's your First Amendment right." It was really funny. It was a really good bit. But like, yeah, fuck this shit, and fuck Kash Patel and his stupid kids book that like the worst grandparents in the world are giving to their grandkids, saying, "See," and these grandkids are like, "I can't wait to put you in a nursing home." And that's that on that, in my opinion.
Yeah, this has been a fun deep dive into a deeply disturbed individual, certainly.
And it's cool because now he gets to come after us. I will say my take on Kash Patel as FBI director, when I heard that it was going to be Kash Patel, and I kind of was vaguely aware of who he is. I looked into him more. Some may not like me for this. I was excited about it because holy shit, I want the FBI to not be good at doing their jobs, and this guy could not be worse at it. I want the FBI under Trump, if he's going to come after his like political enemies, especially if he's like, going after Antifa in quotes, whatever that means, which probably just means left-wing organizations. Yeah, I would rather it be Kash Patel, this dumbass podcaster, than like somebody actually competent. That's my take on it. Like, yeah, more Kash Patel and Dan Bongino running things and less like fucking like John Bolton or somebody that's like actually, Henry Kissinger types who actually know how to carry out like horrible like crimes against humanity. I would say, and I may eat my words on this. Maybe I shouldn't even say it, but I'm going to. I am less afraid of Kash Patel in that role than James Comey in that role.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
That's my opinion on it. And maybe I'll look back like and be wrong about it. And I'm not saying this guy's not horrible and that he's not already done horrible crimes. He's not going to continue to. But I much would rather a guy who is just like fucking sucks at his job.
Yeah, and who again has the difference between him and James Comey is PR, right? Kash Patel has a reputation as a clown and a careerist and a climber and a clout chaser and, all sorts of other things that begin with C, cunt. He doesn't have, his reputation being burnished by, being a rebel or whatever he wants to position himself as,
And we talked about James Comey on our episode about how much harrowing shit he was able to do as a result of that.
Yeah, always remember, listeners, like the crimes of each administration build on the crimes of the previous one, and all the horrible stuff that the FBI is doing right now under Donald Trump, I guarantee you they were also doing under Biden. Same for ICE, same for our military.
It is getting worse. Let's not like lie, but like, and
no,
I know that's
absolutely.
But like, it is only able to be done because of the crimes of the previous administration, which is why is it like obviously a problem that the president is able to weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies? Yeah, in abstract. But they have been weaponizing the Department of Justice against the poor and downtrodden for a long time. Now, that doesn't make this good. Is this setting a bad precedent? Yeah. I want like the limited rights we have in this country to continue? Obviously. Like it's bad if they start stripping things like being tried by your peers or whatever. But like these things have already been under attack. A lot of this has already been stripped for the poor downtrodden among us. So like let's be like very clear about this. But yeah, at the end of the day, when I'm saying Kash Patel as FBI director is not a good thing, but better than someone they could have, it's simply because I want them to fail in carrying out their project. And nobody seems more poised to fail than Kash Patel.
Yeah, contradictions will heighten. You would rather have incompetent jackasses heightening them.
Yeah, and there's going to unfortunately be plenty of competent jackasses we have to deal with too, and they've got them in this administration as well. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, like if anything, if you take anything away from Kash Patel, right? The sort of institution that allows an incompetent jackass to prosecute its project, wholly unaccountable to you or I, the rot runs deeper than any individual.
But at the end of the day, Fun Izzy is the clown on. Would much rather have him than like a Marco Rubio type who can get 100 votes in the Senate, who like knows his shit and like who is currently setting up a prosecution of a war against Venezuela and like seemingly effectively. Not to say that Venezuela is going to lose, but like has a much more competent project that he can sell, get people on board with, versus a like clown like Kash Patel, who, don't get me wrong, can do a lot of damage in there, but like, sorry, you're wrecking the structure of the FBI. Fucking good.
Yeah, worth noting. Like, I mean, we'll talk about Kamala Harris in the near future, but like, her pledge to appoint a Republican to the cabinet, that Republican would have been Marco Rubio. I guarantee you. Like, he has total bipartisan support.
100%. Marco Rubio or maybe Mitt Romney. One of the two of them.
What would Mitt Romney do? Would he be Treasury Secretary?
That would be my guess.
Maybe
small business administration.
Yeah.
But yeah, he knows all about small businesses from his time at Bain Capital, buying them and scrapping them for parts. So, different guy. Mitt Romney. More like a Mitt for big capital because they've got their hand up his ass. Is that anything?
Yeah, listeners, illustrate that for us, please.
God, that in the style of the plot against the king. Oh God, we need more fan art. Fan art. We don't have any fan art of the Socialist Shelf.
Yeah, more fan art. None of the shipping stuff, please.
You shipping Marco Rubio with
my cat.
Romney. No, not with Sheila.
I just pulling names out of a hat.
Names out of your cat.
That's where I got my name. But seriously, folks, like I do want to leave it on an upbeat note here. Like, if the career of Kash Patel teaches y'all anything, it should be that our ruling class is by no means a united, by no means a monolith. There are factions of people within it who despise each other, and the institutions that they control are highly vulnerable to these breathtakingly goofy careerists willing to act wholly in the service of vindictive and demented people. And yes, they have blank checks and zero accountability. They are capable of great damage, but I promise you, whatever resistance you mount with whatever community you build, you are smarter and more resilient and more numerous than these jackasses are, and you and yours will be here long after their kind is gone.
I also will note that George Jackson, writing Blood in My Eye, was making the argument that the time for like the prosecution of war against the ruling class was then. Think what you will about that, whether you agree or not. But he made the point. He said, if we lose now, if we don't win now, he says it might take a long time. There will come a period of reaction. He correctly identified that. And he says, but there will come a time where the chance will come again when the ruling class is seized by an uncharacteristic fit of madness, by their own internal issues. And we may not be quite there yet for the type of George Jackson stuff, but I will say we do see the start of the fit of madness, because holy shit, What a band of jokers.
There's going to be such incredible content down the road.
Oh, Lord. And we will be here covering it on the Socialist Shelf podcast. Folks, thank you for listening. Station 11 is coming, and it is a good-ass book, and we are going to have a lot of fun with it. And some really bad shit is coming after that, too. So please stay tuned, because we've got some great guests. We've got some bad books. And please, I haven't said this in a while. Let us know what you want us to read, because we do listen. We have responded to listener feedback in the past. One of the books we're going to cover in a couple weeks is based on listener feedback, and you really do hate us, don't you? Because going back to the Ben Shapiro trough, folks, we're going back in a few weeks, and it was by popular demand.
Hey, like the listeners serve us up, good and bad stuff in equal measure. So keep doing that, folks, because if it was just up to me, I would subject Jacob to just nonstop Patterson, Frankowski, like the sloppiest of the slop. Because I enjoy Jacob seeing you just I don't know, squirm, scream,
yeah.
Something I look forward to week in, week out.
Jacob screaming. That would be good fan art. A lot of that.
Yes, listeners, save Jacob from Lenore's oppression.
The Lenore's boots stomping on us forever. All right, folks. Y'all have a good one.
Take care. I don't know what starts with T. That's not sports.
I was going to say tennis, but that's a sport.
Shit, you're right.
Ryan, make us sound smart. He's going to leave all this shit in. I was trying to figure this out. Girls play terribly. Ooh,
there we go.
It's sexist. We got sexism in the chat.
Thank you for listening to Socialist Shelf Radio.